Okay. Hello, everybody. Kicking it off for the first time. Never done that one before, so hopefully get you guys involved a little bit. I'm Tony Deanna. I'm CEO of PostUp. We have been here since I think the first show was in Asheville, North Carolina. So we're back in North Carolina, so a little bit of golf this time. In any case, I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefit of owning your audience, which in this day and age is not a very easy thing to do. And actually, I'll start with asking a quick question. So who was in the workforce when there was no internet? Or borderline no, like there was an internet but nobody used it, or there was nothing going on there, or there was no demand there, or you couldn't run a business through it, right? So my example of this and how times have changed, and you guys know this better than I, but it's just a good one. I worked at Sony Electronics and Dell Computers in the 90s. Kicking off my career, and there was a couple magazines that pretty much talking about owning your own audience. If the manufacturers for computers like Dell and Sony would pay literally millions of dollars to PC Magazine and PC World to get that back fold. You had it for the whole month, and if you were on the back there, the amount of dollars they would spend, the magazines were this thick, right? Packed with advertisers, right? And that's really an example of owning your audience, right? I mean, without a doubt, advertisers had to, you had to be there, and it was competition. We would get outbid. We were at Sony, and different manufacturers would outbid each other, and it was a battle, and it was a battle. In this day and age, as we kind of look at over the last 20 years, how things have actually changed, and I'm not going to go into too much details, but now trying to get direct with your audience is a battle. Whether it's search engines, Facebook, ad networks, ad blockers, browsers, right? Things are continuously changing. So I'm going to go through a few of these key things, whether it's Facebook and Google, Safari, GDPR. These are all key things, some new that have just popped up. Just briefly take you through some of these obstacles publishers have in front of them to really trying to get in front of their audience. So Facebook, obviously, the latest things that have happened with Facebook, whole fake news that happened, obviously algorithm changes. Some publishers that we were doing email for in one day disappeared. A company called Little Things, right? 99% of their traffic, they went from 0 people to about 60 million uniques a month in 3 years, with some really great inspirational stories and content and studios, and really put a lot into Facebook, and overnight lost their business. So really challenging. Even hearing things like with Cambridge Analytica and what's going on with that. There's some interesting pieces around third-party data that could really challenge, out there and make it even harder. But without a doubt, Facebook has a lot of control. And what we look at is by owning your own audience is when you get someone coming from Facebook or various different channels, and I'll take you through that. Most of the presentation will be about that, is how do you really establish that relationship and leveraging a direct relationship with them when you get them there. The next one to just briefly hit on is Google with Chrome ad blocking. Obviously, Google's goal is to keep people on the mobile web, right, and make it as good of an experience as possible, but sometimes, obviously, hurting publishers and their advertising revenue, right? So it's another obstacle. Another obstacle, they obviously want to keep people out of the walled gardens of Facebook, and they want to keep them on the mobile web, and at the same time, creating obstacles for generating revenue and blocking ads. Safari is another example here. Apple, they make their money in hardware and software, so they don't really have any skin in the game in advertising revenue, but they obviously have huge distribution with their browser. And third parties, cookies are not something that they love that much. I've seen some interviews with Tim Cook talking about how he doesn't like being followed on the web, right? So it's making it more difficult as well. But obviously there are key tactics, and won't go through all these, but just want to continuously call out, these are just constant challenges. General data protection regulation in Europe, not a huge impact to publishers in the USA, but obviously, many publishers, I've talked to many of you guys here, and you have people that sign up for content and that are on your websites from Europe, it's something that is talked about in California, putting some regulations on the ballot in November possibly. So you got to keep your eye on that. But these are additional challenges that are going on, and good discussions that I'm sure we'll have throughout the next few days on how to overcome that. The core of my presentation is I hate to be such a Debbie Downer there, right? But these are it's not as simple as having a magazine with great content and having millions of people buy it and spend $5, $6, $7 on those, and having advertisers demand millions of dollars for the backfold, right? So it's a lot more difficult, and these are we have challenging days, but there's a great opportunity, and I see a little bit of a revival around owning your audience for publishers. And me being in the industry, I've been the CEO now for about 5 years. I've been with PostUp for almost 10. And 8, 9 years ago, if I was at a show like this, email marketing was almost an afterthought. Things were flying with ad networks, ad revenues were going great, weren't as many challenges, and growth was strong. And now I really believe it's kind of a renaissance for email in a way, particularly with content companies. And that's really what we focus on, is how do we help media companies, publishers, create that direct relationship. And instead of through a magazine, doing it through your website, through email, and through newsletters and content, and engage them, and then over time build strategies to help them monetize. So, email, the channel email, it's really unique. There's 6 key areas that are unique. For one, you can reach your audience directly at any time. So you control that. It's not on an algorithm or a feed. You control exactly what your audience sees, so you're not in somebody else's environment. You own that creative. It's an extension of your site. You identify users when they visit your site. So once you have their email address, you now have the ability when they're there to know who they are, and whether it's a personalizing experience, to be able to engage them with other content or sign up for other offers. You can monetize the audience even if they don't visit your site, right? So they don't have to come to your site to make money. And that's one of the things I'm going to really talk about, is what I believe is a really underdeveloped revenue stream, which is promotional ads for email marketing. High margin, advertisers love them, they perform really well. All you guys have great content. And getting selling direct promotional ads is something I'm going to hit on. Nurture audiences into paying subscribers. So the lowest common denominator of establishing a direct relationship is an email address. But from there, we're building content wall strategies with publishers to start with an email address, and over time, for premium content, getting paid subscriptions, generating direct revenue for just advertising revenue, and then directly market products and services. And I think there's a panel that's going to be talking about commerce and some other type scenarios, right? So once again, email kind of allows you to diversify your revenue streams. It gives you options. And one of the things I want to talk about is, this is an analysis we did across, we've got over 500 digital properties that we do email marketing for. And on an average, if you could see here, just taking a look at Facebook, for example, the lowest page views per session, and about 48% of the people that actually returned came back to your site, which is actually probably higher than most people would think. But that's pretty good. As you can see, Google on the second hand on return is only about 28%. A lot of one and dones. You're searching, you may get a few page views, but a lot of times they may not come back, right? They're searching for something specific. They weren't necessarily looking for your content. If you look at the bottom, though, I'm not going to go through all of these, but email, when you get an email address, 95% of the people come back. And the average page views of the lifetime of the period that we looked at this was about 6 months, was almost 10x, about a magnitude more than an individual, right? So once again, if you can get that email address and they're not coming back in some cases, they may or may not, it's an opportunity, particularly and we do audience development, but that's, the concept is how do you, when they get to your site, if they're reading specific content, how do you make an offer that's engaging, that's personalized, to see if they would like to receive content from you on an ongoing basis. We call this the email audience economic model. And at the bottom of the funnel is the conversion rate. So that's trying to convert users to either purchasing something or subscribers. And as you move up, like a click through for affiliate marketing. So if you're a content company and you have somebody who's selling products and services and they click through, that's the bottom of the funnel. These are engaged people that are already engaging. Open rates are for, you can monetize banners, so live intent or power inbox. You can monetize those with an open. As you move up the funnel into inbox placement, when you get delivered, that's where most promotional emails that you send, the full page promotionals, you get paid on the delivered. So you get a CPM on those, and in many cases, a pretty high CPM. But the top of the funnel is the area that we really do focus a lot on, because many times what we see is you've got 10, 15 million people coming to your site in a given month, but you only got 100,000 or 200,000 people on your list. And it's probably because you don't have good strategies or to organically grow that list based on doing some active capture techniques. So that's an area that we focus on as part of our offering, and we've been able to help our clients significantly increase the size of their list, because the beautiful part is if you increase the size of the list, everything else increases. And also, when you sign people up on an email list, they're more active when you sign them up initially than when they're a year old, right? They're usually less engaged. So you really get an extra multiplier on top of that when you have a really good growth strategy organically in establishing and growing your list. So here's just an example. On the top is 13 million uniques. This particular subscriber is 600,000 email subscribers. And you can see we do ROIs for our clients and help them understand going down the funnel. If you sent 20 messages per month and you got a certain open rate, and a certain spam rate, how much revenue would you generate based on monetizing those with advertising? One of the things that you could see, the big needle mover that I'll get into, is around the promotionals. You could see 67,000 per month if you have a $28 CPM and you send just once a week to that list of 600,000, right? And we've seen an average, we've seen them as high as $100 CPMs and maybe as low for direct, those that you're selling direct with your sales team, $10 CPMs. But it's definitely, and what I see on and on again is that it's underutilized. If we go and we look at some of our clients, some of them don't even have promotional lists, they're just sending newsletters. So I want to focus in on the promotionals. I feel like it's a big revenue opportunity. Some do it really, really well. I know some Business Insider is one that I know does it well, and generates literally millions of dollars through promotional ads, right, that are tied to their newsletter content. But they're standalone emails to newsletters on behalf of the advertiser, so it's coming from the publisher on behalf of the advertiser, often a form of native or content or just a straight ad. Sometimes they contain special offers or discounts, and they're sold as part of a package in some cases, right? So they could be sold, with email banners or on site, and they require already engaged audience. So you can't just go and buy a list and send ads. It's hard. You can't get delivery. It's a battle. It's not something you can do. But the benefit that publishers have is you have great content, so your audience engages with the content, and then you can use that engagement to send advertising. And the ISPs will allow you to do that if you do it in a responsible way. And that's a unique advantage that publishers have. And there's some, just like when I was at Dell, we wanted to get on the back trunk of that PC Mag because that was the only game in town. Now, if you've got 1 million engaged users on a list, so an advertiser really wants to get into that inbox. It's the best advertising impression you could possibly have. So once again, I think it's really underdeveloped. I think there's huge opportunity there. We are definitely trying to help our help our publishers do a better job of it. These are just examples. Once again, you got to have a good content program. Many of our publishers do, and then you can, obviously monetize various different advertising to that list that's relevant to them. And I'm going to take you through just an example of the kind of revenue you can generate. So for direct sold ads, if you average a $28 CPM and you did one per week, you could see $250,000. After annually, if you actually take it down, it's $336,000 if you were to do just one per week. If you had a $500,000 list, it's $672,000. If you had a 1 million person list and you just did one per week at that, it's an extra $1.3 million. And now, interestingly enough, that's one promotion per week. Some cases, what's interesting too, you don't have to do one for everyone. There are ways and strategies. Some people are engaged and like promotions. So those that are opening and engaging with those promotions can get two, right? You don't have to send the same amount to every person. It's what you typically see a lot of that, is that we just do our one, but maybe some people can get more based on how they engage. So those are some things that you can look at in your program to maximize the amount of impressions you could send. So one of the things that we're doing, many publishers have this run of site list. It's, you have a million people that are on your newsletter, 100,000 on your newsletter, and then you do have 100,000 people that are on your promotional. You send them one promotion a week. Well, it's kind of run a site, and it's hard. We hear from some of our publishers it's hard to compete, particularly with Facebook, for example, when Facebook could sell that run a site for that particular audience, but then they can have secondary targets that are more specific. And they don't have, if they're just doing run a site, they're not competitive. So what we're able to do, and one of the things that we're focusing on, is how do you enrich, how do you enrich an email address with the site engagement on your site, right? So how do we actually connect those two together so that when you have their email address and they're on the site clicking on different areas, you can then associate that content category with that individual without having them to give you any information. And it's a way to kind of create these sub-targets within your list. An example of one of our clients that we've done this with is Apartment Therapy. They've got about 1.5 million people on their list with 14 million monthly uniques. So they've got a really great email program. But they have a real estate content part of their site. It's and it's not a lot of traffic. And they had like a couple thousand people on the list. But what we were able to do is connect the engagement with people that have an email address, but not specific for real estate, but connect them with when they were on the real estate part of the site. And we found 55,000 people that were engaging with real estate content. Well, now they were able to go and sell that at a much higher CPM to their publishers, right? So that's an example of how you can do this, and it's something we've done pretty easily with no additional technology. It's just leveraging Google Analytics, which all of you have. We've got Tableau as part of our reporting suite, and we can connect an email address to Google Analytics, and once it's categorized, and pull that back in to Tableau, and then be able to connect it to an email database, and then create these segments. So interesting idea. It's a CDP level capability with zero IT setup, and we're kind of doing this with beta right now with some of our clients, and we've had some real interesting success. But it's a way to kind of make that big list that you have that's kind of run of site promotional richer with data, right? So kind of an interesting piece. Let me see. That's all I wanted to hit on today. Just kind of talking about the goal being here. I know it's a challenging environment. I think there's a great opportunity with building your direct audience with people that love your content. We focus on really helping publishers do that. We do it through email. So a bottom portion of our content distribution platform, we are an email service provider by nature, but we've built our product to kind of integrate with publishers, not retailers. So we're built for editorial workflow, having editors integrated with CMSs so that editors can very easily manipulate content and automate their messaging and give approvals. So we've worked in that manner. We've also got audience development capabilities to help you grow your list and strategy. So we got a full service team that actually does that for people. And on the end, we work with partners, to help you monetize. But we also have tools. And so we have a product called email inventory management within our platform so that you can create those promotionals and create inventory for them and actually put limits to them and put reservations against them with your sales team. So we're kind of an end-to-end email marketing company for media companies and publishers, and look forward to talking to you all in the next few days and maybe get an opportunity to chat and talk about how to build your audience. So that's all. Thanks.